The man was horrified to realize that his city had already been consumed by the smoke, but suddenly he thought he heard something. He quickly stepped forward to investigate. To his surprise, it was a large convoy passing through. The man approached and asked what was happening. It turned out they were a military team sent to evacuate the remaining survivors. The entire city had been overtaken by the smoke and was now completely lost. Only a few dozen survivors were left. After explaining, they equipped the man with a professional oxygen device and urged him to follow the group to safety, but the man refused to leave, as his family was still waiting for him at home. The captain, though reluctant, had no choice but to move on. However, just as they were about to leave, the man called out to the captain again. He requested another set of oxygen equipment. Although supplies were scarce, the captain ultimately gave him an additional set. When the man returned home, he was horrified to see that the smoke had continued to rise. If it kept spreading, they were all doomed. He realized the urgent need to get his wife and daughter out of there, but his daughter's aplastic anemia meant she could only leave the pod if she wore a spacesuit. The spacesuit, however, was stored at an experimental base in the city center. For the sake of their daughter, the couple decided to take the risk. Using their familiarity with the terrain, they quickly made their way to the base and successfully located the spacesuit. But just as they were about to leave, the lab suddenly exploded. Fortunately, they were unharmed. At that moment, the man realized something was wrong. The explosion had burned through his oxygen tube. He quickly removed his mask and held his breath as he climbed upward. At the last critical moment, they finally made it to the rooftop. After taking a moment to recover, the man planned to share his wife's oxygen and head back home together, but he discovered that her oxygen supply was also running low and wouldn't be enough for both of them to return. For the sake of their daughter, he urged his wife to leave with the spacesuit. He decided to make his way back down the building alone, but the situation grew even more desperate. After the wife struggled to return home with the spacesuit, she opened it only to find that it had been damaged by the explosion. The woman broke down completely. To make matters worse, the battery in their daughter's purification pod was now almost depleted.